YouTube has decided to give me a warning for medical misinformation. And I am here to prove that they're fucking wrong. Okay? I'm had. I'm had. I'm a little bit mad. I'm a little upset, right? Because immediately after they said that they couldn't, they confirmed that I broke their policy, whatever, for medical misinformation, I looked up. The only thing I said with facts, the only thing I said was true, right, was that people died after getting the vaccine. I found proof on the CDC website. Links in the description. CDC, okay? The Center for Disease Control, okay? Their website. Proof that there are people who died after receiving the vaccine for COVID-19, okay? It wasn't a lot. It was something like 1 in every 500 million cases of receiving the vaccine died. That is not a big number. That is a very small number, okay? That is lottery numbers kind of shit, right? But, you know, a bad lottery. But let me go ahead and I'm gonna pop this up, okay? We pop this out and we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna actually have a conversation, because here's the thing. I'm not gonna sit here and let fucking YouTube tell me that I'm gonna sit here and lie to people about shit, right? Because I don't care enough to lie to people about whether they should get the vaccine or not. I don't actually give a shit. But they want to sit here and give me a warning for that shit, they can eat my dick, right? We're gonna fucking talk about it. We're gonna get on this about it, right? Okay, so here's the Center for Disease Control and Prevention website on selected adverse events reported after COVID-19 vaccination, okay? So this is updated 2023 September 12th. This is updated as of 3 months ago, okay? The benefits of the vaccination do outweigh the risks, and I agree with that, because again, 1 in 5 million people receive any kind of complication at all. That doesn't mean that every single person who receives complication actually dies either, okay? But we'll get onto that. They recommend, vaccinations. Severe reactions after vaccination are extremely rare. I think they should put extremely, because 5 million at like 1 in, let's see. No, it's 5 cases per 1 million vaccine. So I had the numbers wrong, but that's still extremely rare. That's still really rare, especially since there's been, as of 2021, there were 65 million vaccination doses distributed. That's not including copies. If I remember right, by 2021, they had they were having people re-vaccinate, like get second dose vaccinations or whatever. But still. Multiple factors contribute to reports of deaths after vaccination, including heightened public awareness of COVID-19 vaccines, requirements under FDA authorization for COVID-19 vaccines that healthcare providers report any death after COVID-19 vaccination to VAERS, even if it was unclear whether the vaccine was the cause, and reporting requirements in CDC vaccine provider agreements. People receiving COVID-19 vaccines are less likely to die from COVID-19 and its complications, and are at no greater risk of death from non-COVID causes than unvaccinated people. What they're saying here, in dumb person terms, is that there is a very real chance that most of the cases reported after getting the vaccination and people dying were unrelated to the vaccine. There is a chance. But they don't say that they didn't. They don't say that it couldn't have happened. They said that it's unlikely. Right? And they did specify that people are less likely to die from COVID-19, but that wasn't what I was saying. I was saying getting the vaccination, people died after getting it. And that was the entire conversation I had, right? Again, this is the CDC website, right? And I want to point, I can't stress enough how unlikely it is to happen. So if you feel like you need to get the vaccination, by all means, I'm not stopping you, right? If you feel like you're never going to leave your house, then you can make the decision not to get the vaccine. That's your decision, right? But I'm not going to sit here and let YouTube tell me that I'm misinforming people. Nah, it ain't about that, right? I ain't about that shit. I had heard there had been deaths with people who had received the vaccine. That was it, right? I didn't look into it that much. This right here is the course of me taking 5 minutes after waking up and receiving a message from youtube.com, their fucking Twitter, telling me that they couldn't say that my policy violation was they said that it was still in violation. No, it's fucking not. Don't fucking lie to me like that, right? You didn't look at shit. It's 2 hours and 45-minute video of my stream VOD, right? That some asshole got salty that I mentioned COVID-19 in any capacity and reported it for medical misinformation. And then they didn't bother looking at it because it's an automated fucking system, right? So safety study evaluation, non-COVID-19 mortality risk following COVID-19 vaccination. Study found that rates of death among people who received vaccines were lower than those people who did not receive COVID-19 vaccines. In the largest study of its kind to date, authors found no increased risk of death among people who received the vaccines versus not. What this means, and is that, you know, people who received the vaccine seem to have died less, which is fair because most of the people who would go get the vaccine are careful people. Most people who got the vaccine are careful people. So, you know, maybe they're particularly careful and that they're more likely not to die from other causes for one reason or another. That is fair, right? Using data from the Vaccine Safety Data Link, this study found that rates of death among people who received COVID-19 vaccines are lower than those who did not receive COVID-19 vaccines. The authors determined that there was no increased risk of death among COVID-19 vaccine recipients, reinforcing the safety of COVID-19 vaccines currently authorized for use in the United States. Again, yeah, that sounds about right. I don't really have anything else to add to this. But my point was that people had died after receiving the vaccine. Not that the vaccine was the cause, but they had. You know, because that's what they're supposed to report. They have to report every single death after COVID-19 vaccination. That's it. That's the end of the discussion there, right? Authors of this study analyzed various reports of death after 19 vaccination and found that rates of death after vaccination are lower than background rates of death from cause in the general population. The findings of this study do not suggest an association between the vaccination and overall increased rate of death. Fair, right? So, like I said, the death rate of getting the vaccine and dying are still exceptionally low. Like, you could totally get the vaccine. The reason I never got vaccinated, because I don't go anywhere. I don't interact with the public. So I didn't feel the need for it. I'm not saying that everyone's in the same position as me and you should listen to me. No, but that was my decision. Authors of this study reviewed the initial 6 months of mRNA COVID-19 vaccine safety data from December 2020 through June 2021 in VAERS and VSafe and found that the most commonly reported side effects of mRNA vaccines were mild to short in duration, and the majority of the reported adverse events were not serious. The authors also reviewed death reports submitted to VAERS and found no unusual patterns of death following the mRNA vaccination. The reason this is important is that this still doesn't say that there was no cause, that the vaccine didn't cause a couple of people to die, but it's still saying it's exceptionally rare if it happened, right? Again, no one really knows. Here's why no one knows that the vaccine was the cause, okay? Because once you get a vaccine, the only people who would die would be people who have complications a little bit later. Because they remember that part about, where is it? This right here, this usually happens immediately after getting the vaccine. And they hold you for a little bit to get after you get a vaccine and stuff. They have you wait a little bit and then they'll move you on, right? If you have this, case, you're probably going to survive because immediate medical care will save you. Yeah, treat the reaction and then you'll be fine. That's the thing. There is a possible chance that people could have actually had this kind of reaction after the fact, after the vaccine, and left home, because everyone's different. Guess what? We all have different DNA. We all have different things going on, right? So it's not impossible to assume that at some point, someone might have, had a delayed reaction. It happens, right? So, yeah. Let's see, where was I? GBS is a rare disorder in which the body's immune system damages nerve cells, causing muscle weakness and sometimes paralysis. GBS has largely been observed among people ages 50 years and older. Based on the analysis data from the Vaccine Safety Data Link, the rate of GBS within the first 21 days following vaccination was found to be 21 times higher than after Pfizer or Moderna COVID-19 vaccination. After the first 42 days, the rates of GBS was 11 times higher following the J&J Janssen COVID-19 vaccination. The analysis found no increased risk of GBS after Pfizer, BioNTech, or Moderna vaccination. Similarly, CDC found higher than expected rates of GBS reported to VAERS after J&J COVID-19 vaccinations, but not after mRNA COVID-19 vaccination. These observations contributed to the preferential recommendation by the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, ACIP, to use mRNA COVID-19 vaccines over J&J, which is no longer available in the United States. CDC and FDA will continue to monitor for and evaluate reports of GBS occurring after COVID-19 vaccination, and will share more information as it becomes available. What this means is they said don't use J&J, which is no longer available, right? As a COVID-19 vax. Here's the thing. Hindsight's 2020. We didn't know any of this information. Or that's not correct. Some of this information would have been known as things kept progressing and, would have been updated. But if you weren't looking for this, well, I heard off the cuff at some point, people were having difficulties with the vaccinations. I was like, I'm just not going to bother. Myocarditis, and I can't pronounce these words, after COVID-19 vaccination. Let's see, after COVID-19 vaccination are rare, is inflammation in the heart muscle, and pericarditis is inflammation of the outer lining of the heart. Most patients with that after COVID-19 responded well to medicine and felt rest and felt better quickly. In most cases have been reported after receiving mRNA COVID-19 vaccines. To date, evidence indicates that the benefits of outweigh the risk. That's fair, right? But that doesn't say that that still doesn't mean that, what I said was wrong. That's the important part. TTS, which is thrombosis, and I don't know how to say that either, has been rarely observed after the J&J vaccine, which is no longer available, occurred after approximately 4 cases per 1 million doses administered. TTS is rare but serious adverse event that causes blood clots in large blood vessels and low platelets, blood cells that form in the clots. A review of reports indicate a causal relationship between J&J and TTS. This observation contributed to the preferential recommendation ACIP to use mRNA COVID-19 over J&J, which is no longer available in the United States. CDC scientists have conducted detailed reviews of TTS cases and have made the information available to healthcare providers and the public. And then this is just more information about it, right? And you can find this all on the COVID-19 CDC webpage, which I will provide the link in the description because this is a really good link. But my point is that, some people have no side effects. Many people reported side effects of such as headache, fatigue, soreness, and the injection site, which are generally mild and moderate and go away in a few days, which is normal for a vaccination. That's normal stuff. Like if you get any vaccination of any kind, you could potentially experience this. Headaches, fatigue, soreness at the spot of the vaccination or injection site, which is actually anytime you get any kind of shot, that can potentially happen. That's like every single, because of the way it works. If your immune system does it a certain way, well, this will happen, right? And that's okay. That's okay. All right. I still decided not to get the COVID-19 vaccination. Still not vaccinated. That's my choice. I'm not anti-vaccination. I don't say don't get vaccinated. You make the decision you want to make. You're an adult. You can look this information up. If you think all of this says that the vaccination is safe for you, get it. Don't hesitate. You have the information at your fingertips. You can Google this. You can look this up. You can find credible, reliable sources, right? And the CDC does say you should get vaccinated if you do things, anything really, right? I never felt the need to get vaccinated. That's all there is to it. I said that the vaccinations seem to have caused deaths. That has been correlated, or I don't want to say correlated because I don't actually remember what correlated means, that has been proven to at least potentially be the case. And I say potentially because no one knows 100% if the vaccination was the cause of death. Because any time that it would have been a severe reaction, it's this, which is 5 cases per million vaccines administered, which is horrifically rare. That's insanely rare, okay? And that you should still probably get it because the complications are unlikely. That's what this says. That's what this says. You can read, right? And I just wanted to make this video because this is bullshit, right? I'm really mad that YouTube decided to take down the video and be like, hey, you're spreading medical misinformation. No, I'm not. Here, let's also look at just to be safe, right? Let's look at U.S. Army fires unvaxxed soldiers. Military.com. That's trustworthy, right? 60,000 unvaccinated National Guard and Reserve personnel. 60,000. Okay? That is a lot of people. So, no. Okay, they didn't fire. They cut them off of pay and benefits, right? Some 40,000 National Guard and 22,000 Reserve soldiers who refused to get vaccinated against COVID-19 are no longer allowed to participate in military duties, also effectively cutting them off from some of their military benefits, Army official announced Friday. This was July 6th, 2022. Okay. Oh, and you can get an exemption request. So it's not like these people didn't have an option to just get an exemption request and not get the vaccine. But they were ordered to take it or get an exemption. Which, yeah, you're in the Army. You're supposed to listen to them, right? Yeah. And this isn't them being fired. The National Guard, last I checked, unless it's like specific disasters or whatever, don't usually get paid unless they're doing their training. This just means that they're not doing their training. I don't know about Reserve soldiers. I have no idea. I know more about the National Guard than Reserve, but that's just me. All of that said, it just means that they weren't paying them during this time, during 2022. Which actually isn't that long ago. And as far as its effects on the economy, probably not that severe. That sounds weird, but yeah. And then they voted to reinstate 8,000 of them in military.com from soldiers who were booted over vaccination failure to obtain. And Biden didn't dishonor discharge, but I don't know how. I'm not going to say USA Today is real. Okay, I'm not going to say that they're true. They did say that they did say that it's false and that he didn't do it, but I don't know. I don't trust them as a 100% source. Right? They are a news website. I'm not going to sit there and trust them. Right? Forbes is a news. I'm ignoring news websites. I don't think military.com is a news website, but I'm not sure. Yeah. And I do believe that they probably should have gotten them vaccinated, the soldiers, right? If you're in the Army, you're going to be dealing with a lot of people all the time. You should get vaccinated. But, again, that's not really my choice. If you feel like you should leave the Army and not get vaccinated, that's up to you. So, yeah. That also happened. I don't know the specifics, right? I don't know how trustworthy any of this is. The Department of Defense is one of the sources for the USA Today. U.S. Senator of Texas, which is odd that he's the one who specifies, but, and Fox News, which I don't think is a credible source to use as fact checks, right? Don't use news sources for your sources, right? It's not how that works, right? So that happened. In whatever form it happened, it still happened, right? It didn't seem to be as big of a deal, if that makes sense. And I do know that they are trying to take them back somehow, some way, which is fine. You know, that's what the military wants to do. That's what they can do. Have I been muted this whole time? No. Oh, thank God. That would have been horribly embarrassing. So I hope you guys have been educated, right? I hope you understand. And if I need to address anything else, I will in another video. I was just mad, and now I have proven my case. That's all there's to it, right? This is official CDC website. Can't get more sourcer than that, right? Like, if I go to WHO, they'll probably just link me to the CDC. I'm not sure 100%. But the fact that I've got the CDC website just confirming all of this is amazing, right? So, yeah, you guys have fun and have a nice day. Bye.